Imagine being handed total authority over a nation, its army, its money, and the lives of every citizen. Then imagine God Himself steps in and offers you one single wish, anything you want. What is the first thing you ask for? When a young King Solomon faced that choice, he surprised everyone. Instead of asking for a long life, a bigger palace, or the defeat of his enemies, he asked for a listening, discerning heart. He just wanted to know how to govern his people with justice. God loved that answer. Because Solomon prioritized wisdom to help others, God gave him that insight, and then added everything he hadn't asked for. He handed Solomon staggering wealth and a level of international peace that his father, King David, had only dreamed of. Word of this brilliant new king spread across the ancient world. Leaders packed up caravans with gold and spices just to hear him speak. The Queen of Sheba traveled from the ends of the known world, and when she saw his kingdom in action, she was completely overwhelmed by what he had achieved. For a brief window in time, Israel had everything: a full treasury, safe borders, and a leader who actually listened. It was the physical proof that God follows through on his promises. Solomon's most famous project was giving the Ark of the Covenant a permanent home. For generations, the Israelites had carried God's presence in a temporary tent. Now, right in the heart of Jerusalem, Solomon began building a magnificent temple. He used the best materials on earth. He imported massive timber from the ancient forests of Lebanon and lined the entire interior with pure gold. It was designed so that when you walked inside, you didn't see a single stone, only gold, cedar, and intricate carvings. When the construction was finally finished, the nation was at its strongest. Every tribe was unified, the people were happy, and the borders were entirely secure under one crown. The building was spectacular, but its true purpose was revealed when a thick, heavy cloud filled the sanctuary. It was a sign that the God of the universe had moved in to live right in the middle of his people. Looking at this kingdom, you would think humanity had finally reached its goal. We had built the secure, perfect home we had always been searching for. But spiritual ruin rarely arrives all at once. It doesn't usually happen with one giant destructive leap. It is the result of a slow, quiet drift. To keep peace, Solomon started making political alliances by marrying hundreds of foreign women. It was a strategy built on human diplomacy rather than trust in God. These alliances forced him to compromise. The man who built the temple began ordering the construction of hilltop shrines and altars for other gods, right across from Jerusalem. He tried to serve the God of Israel, while his heart was being pulled toward the idols of his many wives. God warned Solomon that this unfaithfulness had a cost. The kingdom would be torn away from his family. Because of God's love for Solomon's father, David, the fracture was delayed by a generation, but the stability of the nation was already gone. Solomon was the smartest, most blessed man in history, and yet he still couldn't keep his own heart from wandering. It's a reminder that human wisdom, on its own, isn't enough to keep us on the right path. The collapse happened the moment Solomon's son, Rehoboam, took the throne. When the people asked him to lighten the heavy labor his father had demanded, Rehoboam chose arrogance over service. He promised to treat the people even more harshly than his father had. The people immediately rebelled. 10 of the 12 tribes walked away from the royal family and chose a new leader, Jeroboam, to head their own nation. The unified kingdom broke apart into 2 rival nations, Israel in the north and Judah in the south. Fearing his people would travel south to worship in Jerusalem and switch sides, northern King Jeroboam built 2 golden calves at Bethel and Dan. In just a few years, a perfect nation was dismantled. Human ego and fear broke the country in 2, plunging the people into a long season of spiritual darkness. For the next several centuries, the story of these 2 nations became a cycle of failure. King after king led the people further into corruption, ending with rulers like King Ahab, who completely turned his back on God. During these dark times, God sent prophets like Elijah. They were often forced into the harsh wilderness, living in caves and standing alone against corrupt kings, all to call the people back to the God they had forgotten. 1 Kings shows us a recurring theme. Human leaders, no matter how smart or powerful, will eventually let us down because of their own flaws. Even the best golden era eventually cracks. Watching the smartest man fail and the strongest kingdom break suggests that the problem isn't just with the laws or the borders, it's with the human heart. This collapse forced the people to look past their own palaces and start waiting for a king who wouldn't be broken by sin. This story points us toward Jesus. He is the king who finally provides the connection to God that we've been looking for. He didn't come to sit on a throne of gold, but to offer us a kingdom that never fails and a heart that never wanders.